Welcome to The Explainer. Okay, let's dive into this. We are mapping out the absolutely intense, demanding, and honestly largely unseen psychological journey of becoming a stealth fighter pilot. We're going to chart a path that starts with a teenager and ends for a very, very select few with 4 stars on their shoulders. It's a total exploration of human limits, unyielding standards, and the true nature of elite performance.
I want you to really put yourself in this headspace for a minute. You are 18 years old. You've been stripped of every external marker of identity. You have just arrived at the United States Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs. Your bag hasn't even hit the dormitory floor yet, and basic cadet training has already begun. For 6 grueling weeks, you will have no rank, no privileges, and literally 0 unstructured time. You are stripped of every single external marker of identity you've ever known. You're simply being observed to find out what, if anything, remains underneath.
Section 1. The permission to begin. Phase 1 of this journey is basic cadet training, and honestly, just getting to the starting line is a massive battle in itself.
Because you actually applied twice. The first time, a flight physical completely disqualified you for borderline depth perception, and nobody told you it was possible to fix it. But you decided it was. You spent 11 straight months doing vision therapy exercises every single morning. You retested and you passed. When that appointment letter finally arrived on a Thursday, you read it standing at your mailbox, literally not moving for almost 2 minutes.
But that sheer will is instantly put to the test, right? The daily academic and physical pace is merciless. Wake at 0500, run, eat, class, train, study, sleep, maybe 5 hours on a good night. By week 3, you've completely stopped measuring days. The calendar is absolutely irrelevant. All that matters is the very next task. It's an environment where, at 2,300 hours, a fellow cadet, Renardo Szymanski from Wisconsin, explains induced drag to you using just a pencil and a napkin. And you won't forget it. You're actually going to use that exact lesson a decade later in a debrief at a base you'll never even be cleared to visit.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that number, 3. That is the maximum number of minutes you get per meal on the bad days. You eat in the Mitchell Hall dining facility in absolute silence. You are constantly corrected for things you didn't even know were standards until the exact moment you violated them. Every single second applies pressure.
And that pressure really tests your human instincts. Think back to week 1. A basic cadet named Darius O'May from Atlanta goes down at mile 4 of a 6-mile run. Your immediate human instinct is to slow down, to help. But your cadre instructor screams at you, maintain pace. So, you maintain pace. You will think about that specific moment for years to come.
Finally, on the very last day of basic cadet training, they hand you your prop and wings insignia. You're standing in a formation of 1,000 people on the terrazzo under a Colorado sky so wide it just seems impossible. Something with no name yet settles into your chest. Getting here was not the achievement. It was simply the permission to begin.
Section 2. The Unmoving Standard. Now we transition to Level 2, Undergraduate Pilot Training, or UPT, at Laughlin Air Force Base. You're 22 years old now, and the stakes shift dramatically.
You've got a gold bar on your shoulder, and you've driven west from Colorado with 2 bags and a logbook that has almost nothing in it. You start in the T6 Texan II, a demanding single-engine turboprop. Your instructor? Captain Hector Villanueva. He's got 2,200 flight hours, a completely flat affect in the cockpit, and incredibly unforgiving standards. His rules are simple. 1 wrong answer means you're incorrect. 2 wrong answers, you haven't studied. 3 wrong answers, it means you haven't thought. Intellectual discipline is enforced immediately.
And the 52-week timeline is just brutal. After 43 sorties, you get your first solo flight in week 11. Fast forward to month 8, and you're flying 2 sorties a day in the unforgiving supersonic T-38 Talon. Brief, fly, debrief, eat, study, sleep, repeat. But then, week 41 hits. A student named Owen Braddock, literally one of the 3 best in your class by almost every metric, washes out overnight. His bunk is just empty by morning, and you don't even ask what happened.
Through all that immense pressure, validation comes in the absolute smallest gestures. Right before that first solo, Captain Villanueva climbs out of the back cockpit, looks at you, and says just 2 words, "Your aircraft." He walks toward operations without looking back. You sit there for a second, run the checklist, and lift off. 4 minutes and 20 seconds. A clean pattern, a smooth landing. When you taxi back, Villanueva is at the edge of the ramp. He gives you a single nod.
You will measure moments in your career against that single nod for the rest of your life.
The stark reality of Owen's empty bunk teaches you the most crucial lesson of undergraduate pilot training. The program adjusts for absolutely nothing. It is not built around fairness. It is built around standards, and the standard simply does not move.
Then, week 52. Wings Day arrives on a Thursday. Your parents drive down from Indiana, and your mother pins those silver wings to your chest in front of the entire class. They weigh less than 2 ounces of metal, but $1.3 million? That is what the Air Force has invested financially just to get you to this point. And the craziest part? You still haven't flown anything actually designed to be invisible.
Section 3. Evaluation over motivation. Welcome to Level 3, Introduction to Fighter Fundamentals, or IFF. You're 23, you're a rated pilot, but brace yourself because you're about to face a massive culture shock.
And this brilliantly illustrates the complete paradigm shift. UPT taught you how to fly. Introduction to Fighter Fundamentals teaches you what flying a fighter actually means. It's an entirely professional discipline with its own language, its own culture, and a deeply unforgiving definition of what is acceptable. You are back in the T-38, but it is not being flown the same way at all.
Your instructor for this 8-week phase is Major Lynette Carver. She has 1,800 hours in the F-15C, and her philosophy? It's intense. She doesn't motivate you, she evaluates you. Because you see, motivation implies there's uncertainty about whether you will perform. Evaluation implies you will be held to a standard regardless. When you're up there, basic fighter maneuvers feel completely alien. Everything you know conceptually becomes an immediate, 3D physical problem that you have to solve in seconds.
By sortie 12, the tension is just palpable. In the debrief, Major Carver taps the marker on the whiteboard at the exact moment you had a valid gun solution and just didn't take it. She waits. You completely own your mistake. Instead of pressing you or lecturing you, she caps the marker and says one single word, correct. That's the entire debrief.
You graduate IFF, but let's be super clear. You are not yet a fighter pilot. You are simply a pilot who has been properly introduced to what fighter aviation is. Graduating this course just means you are finally ready for the F-22 basic course.
Section 4. The ultimate trajectory. Let's transition into this final phase of the explainer and quickly trace how this grueling foundational crucible prepares you for a lifetime of escalating responsibility. Stepping into the F-22 Raptor is a total mind-bending reality. Every single aircraft you flew before this asked you to manage limitation. The F-22 asks you to manage abundance, massive thrust, sensor fusion, radar. And stealth? It isn't just about being invisible. It's the intense, hyper-focused discipline of presence management, knowing exactly when you can radiate and when you have to go absolutely silent.
As we trace the path from that 18-year-old cadet all the way up to a commander, you see that progress here isn't about glory. It's about carrying heavier, way more complex burdens. As a wingman, you're earning credibility through silent reliability. As a flight lead, you aren't just flying, you're processing the entire system's temperature. If you sound stressed on the radio, everyone feels it. As a weapons officer, your job is telling the hard mathematical truth about integration. And as a commander, you bear absolute accountability for everything, period.
So the crucial point is, getting to the absolute top, becoming a 4-star general commanding Air Combat Command, takes about 34 years. But it isn't just climbing some corporate ladder. It is 34 years of continuous, grueling practice of one single discipline, knowing the exact truth about what you're capable of and doing the work to expand it.
And that brings us to the core thesis of the source material. True elite performance is a choice you make over and over again for decades. You choose to be accurate rather than comfortable. You choose to be prepared over being lucky. Most importantly, it's about having the courage to say the true thing in the room where it is the absolute hardest to say.
I want to leave you with this final provocative thought today. You don't rise to the top just because you're fearless. The fear of error, the fear of failing your wingman in the dark, it's always there. But what if reaching the highest ranks isn't about being fearless, but simply knowing which fears are actually useful? Think about that in your own life. Which fears are holding you back, and which ones are pushing you to be accurate instead of comfortable? Thank you so much for exploring this source material with me today. Keep pushing your standards, and I'll catch you next time.